Welcome back to Whispers in the Dark. Tonight's story takes us to a quiet suburb on the edge of Osaka, to an old house that holds a chilling secret. This is a tale about a closet, a whisper, and the terrifying price of curiosity. So, turn down the lights, get comfortable, and listen closely, because some doors are best left unopened. Koko was 12 years old when she first heard it, a whisper. It was a soft, wet sound, slithering out from the darkness of her bedroom closet. Her family had just moved into a small, old rental house. You know, the kind with wooden floors that groaned under every footstep, like tired old men, and thin walls that seemed to exhale with the cold night air. It was a house with a history, though none of them knew how dark that history was. At first, Koko dismissed the sound. The wind, she told herself. The house settling and an overactive imagination in a new, strange place. But the whisper was persistent. It came every single night, precisely at 3:12 a.m. The timing was so exact, so unnatural, it made the hairs on her arms stand up, and the voice always murmured the same chilling question. A question meant only for her. "Koko, are you awake?" For a week, she lay frozen in her bed, pulling the covers up to her chin, her heart hammering against her ribs. She would squeeze her eyes shut, praying for sunrise. But on the 8th night, a dangerous mix of fear and curiosity got the better of her. The voice whispered its question, and this time Koko's own voice, trembling and small, answered back into the darkness. "Who's there?" Silence, and then a sound that would haunt her forever. A smirking giggle. It wasn't the sound of a child's laugh. It was thin, reedy, and filled with a sinister glee. The giggle was followed by scratching, a slow, deliberate scraping from inside the closet, like long, sharp fingernails being dragged methodically across the wooden door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. The sound seemed to be etching itself directly into her mind. The next morning, the sun did little to chase away the lingering dread. At school, Koko confided in her best friends, Suki, Kei, and Rio. All of them were 12, inseparable, and thought they were brave enough for anything. Naturally, they laughed at her story. "It was just a dream, Koko," Suki said, patting her shoulder. "You're just spooked by the new house," Kei added. Rio, ever the skeptic, just rolled his eyes. But Koko could see the flicker of doubt in their eyes, the shared thrill of a ghost story. So she issued a challenge. "If you don't believe me, come for a sleepover. Hear it for yourselves." That weekend, the four of them gathered in Koko's room, a fortress of sleeping bags and snacks. The mood was light at first, full of jokes and laughter as they tried to pretend they weren't scared. But as the hours ticked by, a heavy silence fell over the room. Midnight came and went. Then 1 o'clock, then 2. Nothing but the usual groans of the old house. Rio, holding a flashlight with a surprisingly steady hand, started to smirk. "See? Nothing," he whispered. Kei and Suki looked relieved. Maybe Koko had imagined it all. And then, the digital clock on Koko's nightstand flipped to 3:12 a.m. At that exact second, the closet door rattled violently in its frame, as if something had thrown itself against it from the inside. The flashlight in Rio's hand flickered once, twice, and died, plunging them into near-total darkness. A breathy, guttural laugh echoed through the room, seeming to come from everywhere at once. More friends. Good. Suki let out a loud, choked scream. In the sliver of moonlight filtering through the window, she saw it. A hand, pale and skinny, with fingers that were far too long, was reaching through the small crack between the sliding closet doors. It was twitching, feeling the air. Kei was paralyzed, her eyes wide with terror, a silent scream trapped in her throat. Rio, fueled by a surge of panicked bravery, scrambled to his feet. He grabbed the closet door handle, determined to rip it open and confront whatever was inside. But as he pulled, something pulled back, hard. It was an impossible strength, an anchor of pure malevolence holding the door shut from the other dark side. With a final, desperate heave from Rio. The door suddenly burst open with a loud crack, sending him stumbling backward. He shone the now working flashlight into the closet. It was empty. There was nothing there. Just a few of Koko's dresses hanging limp and still. The air that poured out was cold, heavy, and smelled of damp earth and decay. For a moment, they all breathed a collective sigh of relief. It was over. But it wasn't. "Koko, behind you," Rio gasped, his voice barely a whisper. Koko turned slowly. Crawling out from the deep shadow cast by the open closet door was a figure. It unfolded itself from the darkness like an insect emerging from its shell. It had a face that was impossibly long and bone-white, stretched into a permanent, horrifying grin. Its eyes were two black pits, devoid of any light or soul, and they blinked sideways, like a reptile. The creature fixed its gaze on Koko, and the same wet, whispering voice slithered into the air, no longer from the closet, but right beside her. "You answered me. Now I can come out." And then, the lights in the room, the house, the entire street, went out. The next morning, Koko's parents woke to a silent house. So silent. When they opened the door to her room, they found it eerily neat. The sleeping bags were gone. The snacks were gone. The closet door was shut tight. But the children, Koko, Suki, Kei, and Rio, they were all gone. The police were called, and a frantic search began. But they found nothing. No signs of a break-in, no footprints outside, no evidence of a struggle. It was as if the 4 children had simply vanished into thin air. The only clue they ever found was inside the closet. On the inner side of the door, forensics discovered 4 sets of small, childish handprints. They were pressed so hard into the wood that they had left faint, bloody stains beneath the grain, as if they had been trying desperately to claw their way out. The house remained empty for years. But eventually, new families moved in, and the dark legend grew. Every family who has lived there since has reported the same disturbing phenomenon. They say that if you listen closely on any given night, at exactly 3:12 a.m., you can hear faint whispers coming from the old bedroom closet. Not one voice, but 4. 4 small, terrified voices, crying out together in the dark. Let us out. Thank you for joining me in the dark. Remember to be careful what you answer, for you never know who or what might be listening. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another whisper. Until next time, stay safe.